women, there's many times where we want people to change. We want them to change their behaviors. We want them to change the way they treat us. We want them to change the choices that they make, whether it's our spouse, whether it's our significant other, whether it's a friend, a family member, a child. We often want change from other people. I once had a very wise woman share with me that you can't want more for someone than they want for themselves. And that's why I'm sharing it with you today. The truth is, change is a lot of work. Change is overwhelming. Sometimes change is hard. Sometimes it's uncomfortable or unfamiliar. And so today I want to talk about the top 3 reasons why people avoid change and what we can do to best help and support them. The first reason that people avoid change is because they're simply not ready for it. I remember when I was starting my business and I was so excited. I felt like a whole new person, and personal development was like my jam, like my bestie. And I wanted everyone to feel the same way that I felt: elated, excited, empowered, confident. But other people weren't ready to receive that. And we all have our choices in life and our situations and circumstances that bring us to different points. And so at each different crossroad in our life, we get that opportunity to choose change. While we may choose change, that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is ready to choose it as well. We have to understand that our timing is not anyone else's timing, and that some people may never be ready for change, especially in the way that we desire for them to be ready for it. The second reason people avoid change is because of fear. Remember, I said change is not in our comfort zone, and many of us operate in our comfort zone because it's safe, it's familiar, and ultimately it's comfortable. And so the idea of stepping out of your comfort zone into new territory is very, very intimidating. It's scary, it's overwhelming, it makes you nervous, it makes you frustrated, uncomfortable, overwhelmed. And so because of that, a lot of people fall back and allow fear to take over. It is difficult for you to force someone to change when fear is the place that they're operating out of. And so I share this with you so that you understand what that fear may look like and why, in turn, they may be resistant to change. The third reason that people resist change is probably actually one of the hardest reasons and the hardest pill to swallow, is some people are incapable of change. Whether it's they don't have the tools, whether they're naive to seeing that they actually need change, some people are incapable of changing. Maybe they're in situations where people reinforce their behaviors and they adopt them as acceptable. Maybe they're in a situation where they've changed in the past and it seems like, well, if I've done too much, now I'm not going to do any more. Maybe they're in a situation where people are enabling their behaviors and their choices. And so in that case, they become incapable of change because change ultimately doesn't feel like it serves them. That's probably the hardest place to get someone to change from, because they're not even in a position to see the need or the importance of that change. Ultimately, we all need to be moving through life, and in order to grow through life, and not just kind of go through life and allow life to go with the flow, but in order to grow through life, you have to be accepting and willing to change. Change your circumstances, change your thoughts, change your mind, change your actions. Change. The only thing constant in the world is change. And that's like an oxymoron, right? Because change isn't constant. But the reality is change is constantly going to be coming our way. There are going to be moments where we're pushed into a rock and a hard place and we have to change our direction or our trajectory. There's going to be a moment where we come to a crossroads where we need to make change. And while for some of us, change is something that we recognize we need, and we even understand that it's hard, but we're willing to put in the work, unfortunately, not everyone sees it that way. And when we try to force that change, that's going to in turn make people become more resistant and less tolerant to opening up to the idea of change. And so the best way to support people on their change journey is to be an example. So I think about back to when I started my business and I was going through, a nasty divorce and really finding myself as a single. I really dug deep into personal development. I started writing, I started blogging, I started speaking, I started posting and sharing and doing videos and podcasting and doing all of these things. And I was really, really liking my change. And in the beginning, I wanted all of my friends and the people in my inner circle to meet me there, change with me and adjust get rid of the gossiping that we all engaged in and get rid of the negative thoughts and beliefs that we all engaged in. I wanted them to change for the better, but they weren't ready. And at first, I felt very frustrated and rejected in this standpoint. But what I came to see was it's okay that they were not ready. All I could do was take care of me and implement the changes that I needed in my life. And in turn, what I came to see was that by my example of changing, they started to fall in line with their own changes that they needed in their life. It was so inspirational to me because they would come to me and they'd ask me questions about well, how do you do your morning routine? And how do you implement more gratitude? And how do you do affirmations? And how do you write a book? And how do you coach? And how do you start a business? And so I started to get all these questions when these were the same things that I was trying to teach them months and years before. But in turn, by watching my trajectory and watching my change, watching my personal development and my growth and my confidence build, I was setting an example. I'm a firm believer that people don't listen to what you say, right? They watch what you do. Because words are nothing. You could say anything, but people lie all the time, right? Actions don't lie. Actions tell the truth. And when people start to see that change, that's when you're able to be an inspiration to others. So if you are in a nasty relationship, whether it's a friendship or a relationship with a family member, a significant other, and you are really, really wanting change, the best thing you can do is set an example of what you desire. Set an example of how you're wanting to be treated. Set an example of what kind of changes you have put into your life that you would like them to also put into their life so that they can match you or meet you where you are. The worst thing you can do on this path is to force change amongst anybody. Some people just aren't ready. Some people don't have the tools. Some people are incapable or unwilling or fearful of change. And we have to understand that that's where people are and just be an example for them in the process. So let me ask you, if you made change a priority and found the positive in change in your life, how would your life shift? And what kind of example would you set for those around you? Comment below and let me know. Make sure you hit like and subscribe before you go. And until next time, I'll chat with you guys later.